weeks ago that she is planning on selling my childhood home. That is a bag of mixed emotions. I'm very happy for her that she is moving on with her life and trying new things. But for me, that's really sad. I grew up there, and even though I haven't lived there for 8 years, it still always will be kind of home, or it was always kind of a home away from home. So my mom calls me and she goes, hey, I need you to come and clean out your stuff. And not just your stuff, I also need some help cleaning out like stuff we inherited from your grandparents and some of your dad's stuff that's left, and basically 30 years worth of stuff that our family has accumulated. But the catch was I had to do it all in one weekend. I love my mom. Okay, I love her a lot, but that is... All right, let's do it. In the weeks leading up to this clean out, I am super stressed about it. You know, I haven't lived there in 6 years, and my mom's done a pretty good job since my dad passed away, kind of going through the house and cleaning it out. But I still know there's a lot of stuff in there, and I'm not really exactly sure what's in there. I mean, it was where I lived the first 20 years of my life. I reread the Bible of tithing, I say a prayer to Marie Kondo, and I prepare myself as much as I can. The night before I'm about to leave, I am full on sobbing to my husband. It's like someone died. I am just bawling my eyes out, and I have a lot of like what ifs, you know, like what if this is the last time I'm ever gonna be in my childhood home? What if, you know, I can't get rid of anything, I can't part with anything because we don't have a huge space here, I can't bring everything home. What if it like drains just all my energy and I just don't have any energy to deal with it? Anyways, I get up the next day, I have to drive 6 hours, and I'm like physically sick on my way to my mom's. Have a headache, I have bags under my eyes, I just feel sick. I get there and I'm only gonna be there for 3 days because I have to get back from my other job. So I have to start right away. And so I start with one of my closets that it has just been stuffed with all my childhood stuff. My bedroom got renovated a couple of years ago after I had moved out. And so everything from my childhood had gotten shoved into 2 closets. So I started with one of them, and to my surprise, it was actually easier than I thought to go through. I thought it was gonna be like really sad and emotional, saying goodbye to this stuff, and it wasn't. It was actually pretty easy and joyful, one might say. Honestly, it was like meeting these items I hadn't seen in a while and just feeling a wave of like memories and joy, but also it was pretty easy to part with then. You know, I feel like I had my moment with them and I could, you know, send them off. I used to love this dragon.
The one you brought to obviously Hawaii.
That night, I went to bed exhausted, but I was feeling pretty confident at this point that we were gonna make it through and I was gonna be able to do it. So that was a nice boost of energy and feelings towards this whole process. When going through these sentimental items, these are some of the questions I asked myself to help me sort through it. So like one of them was it an object that I was looking at purchasing anyways? For example, like I needed a pair of black shoes to wear, you know, going out, and my mom was getting rid of this pair that she used to wear all the time. Because I was planning on buying black shoes anyways, I was able to take those off her hands, and I feel good about that. Another question I asked myself, is it something I would purchase today? So being that most of these items were old and used, if it didn't have the sentimental value that it did, is it still something that I would purchase today? And at what price? What price would I put on that? This is a method my mom used more than me, but she kept questioning herself, is if she was moving out of the country, what would she bring with her? Just kind of like an extra extreme level. She's not moving out of the country, you know, she's staying in the same city, but that was helpful for her to like just pare down her items more and more. Another one I used was, do I picture this item in my house in 5 years? What about in 1 year? If I don't see that item having a place in my house, I don't need to hold on to it. When I started my organizing journey a couple years ago, we're still in the process of it, just to put that out there. But I didn't really believe in the Marie Kondo method of finding joy in objects, because I would pick up my objects and like, this doesn't bring me any joy, you know, like I just didn't believe in it. But I will say I definitely believe in it today. I think when you have so many objects, it's hard to find joy in any of your objects because it's overwhelming. But I think the less you have, you can definitely start to feel that certain objects bring you joy and certain objects don't. And I know it sounds like a bunch of like hocus pocus, but I truly do believe it. And there's definitely objects I picked up in my childhood home where I was like, this is the silliest thing for me to find joy out of, but like I felt so much joy. I found this little, hi Misty, I found this little happiness token, and I just couldn't help smiling. So I had my mom put aside some items earlier on while she was organizing stuff before I got home that I thought I was for sure gonna keep, and then I got there and I was like, no, I know I'm not keeping that. End of the second day, I was able to finish both those childhood closets that like were just filled to the brim with things from like high school, childhood, all that sort of stuff. I was able to finish going through my birthday cards. My mom had saved all my birthday cards from 1 to 18, and even cards she had gotten when I was born, congratulating her and stuff. So I was able to go through that and clean that out. And I was able to finish our movie and game cabinet, which was super easy to go through because I think you either like the movies or you don't. And that's coming from someone who has a degree in film. Decided that I was only going to keep 4 bins of stuff. That's like my own personal items that were special or important to me for different reasons. I was keeping 2 bins of stuff that either are practical use to me now, or they brought me so much joy that I am bringing home with me. And then I have 1 bin set aside for my future children, and then 1 bin set aside for memories. So that's like artwork I made or schoolwork or, you know, pictures. The latter 2, my mom has offered to hold on to them for me for a little bit longer. Thank you, Mom. At this point, everything I got rid of just brought me relief. Felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I think I had been carrying around so much of this stuff that I just didn't even realize how essentially heavy I had gotten on my mental load, you know, knowing that I had just left all this stuff behind and I wasn't using it and it wasn't, you know, playing a role in my life. Going through 20 years of stuff in a weekend is not for the faint of heart. I couldn't believe how much I held on to. I had love letters from ex-boyfriends, and I had my old diaries, and I had notes from friends that I haven't spoken to in 10, 15 years. And you know, it was good going through the memories of that, but that is past me, and that's not stuff that is a part of my life today, and I don't need to hold on to that stuff. I had gone through all this stuff too before I left for college, and I still decided to keep it because I don't think there was like this imminent pressing future that my parents' house wasn't going to be there forever, and I wasn't going to get to store stuff at my parents' house. And I think we place so much burden on our parents to hold on to stuff for us, and I'm still, like I said, my mom is still holding 2 bins for me, but it really just made me realize of, you know, what is really important to me, you know, in my current day and age. And if it's not something that's existing and functioning in my life, it's probably just not important for me to hold on to, and I shouldn't be placing that burden on my mom to carry. The recycling bin and the garbage bin were almost full at this point, and we had also completely filled up my car just with stuff for Goodwill. And we only had 1 more day left to go through everything. I feel good about what I've like let go of at this point, but I'm still stressed because there's still so much more to do. Going into my 3rd day, I honestly wasn't sure that I was gonna finish. I still had a whole bunch of clothes in my dresser. I had my old schoolwork, and on top of it, I still had just like miscellaneous stuff around the house. My mom wanted to go through, you know, the china cabinet and pick out what I wanted from the china cabinet and what she could get rid of. I was already exhausted, and I just wanted to kind of enjoy the house in case it was my last time there before she sells it. The 3rd day rolls around. It's my last day there because I have to leave the next morning. I ended up going through my bins again, and I actually narrowed it down. Like half the stuff I thought I was gonna keep, I ended up getting rid of. So that's good. I do that, and then I have to start on my old schoolwork. That is like the biggest thing. There is so much of it. And I feel like I've been feeling a lot of, more so now than past me, but I feel a lot of regret over some of my life choices. And maybe, I don't want to say confused, but I feel like I question a lot of choices I've made in my life. So I start going through my old school paperwork, and what's crazy to me is I start to notice this pattern. And I thought these were traits that I developed in like adulthood or, you know, later in life, but I start to notice how much of who I am, I've always been that way. I've been reading through, you know, old stories that I wrote and like what my dreams and my hopes were, and it was crazy to me how much of that still aligns with who I am today. And it was like looking into a reflection of my soul is the best way to say it. Is like, I just got to see my truest self going through it. And I'm very tired at this point. I'm exhausted. But I begin to feel proud of myself. I get emotional, but like, I begin to feel confident in myself, and I begin to feel proud of myself to see how far I've come. I oddly enough found more clarity in looking through 18 years of my my schoolwork than I had for the last couple years of trying to search for myself, you know? I think I found the truest version of myself, which was very unexpected and just brought so much relief and clarity to me that I am on the right path and I am doing the right thing. And looking at childhood pictures of myself and going, okay, she's made it this far. She's made it to here. This is where I am. I can keep going. I've always been a little bit weird, creative, and drawn to telling stories. I've always seen the world in a different way. I've always been a little bit crazy. I've always known who I am. I was not expecting to cry during this. Even though I feel very emotional losing my childhood home, I'm just so grateful I got the process and I got the chance to go through everything. And it was a really special experience. And I learned more about myself. Yeah. And so a teammate had written me this quote when I was losing my dad, and it spoke to me in this moment of grief is like the ocean. It comes on waves ebbing and flowing. Sometimes the water is calm and sometimes it is overwhelming. All we can do is learn to swim.